All right, this is Dr. Mark DeBrinket, and you have arrived at the Good News Doctors podcast. This is episode 3, and today I have 2 very special guests with me today. I have Greg Bell as a former NFL running back who's had 8 years in the NFL, and we also have Jon Autry, who started his career at Notre Dame. Actually, both of you guys played at Notre Dame, didn't you?
Yes.
And so, super excited to have you guys here. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. So when we talk about athletes, okay, I love working with athletes because you guys are all about performance, right? And always trying to optimize your performance even after your career. You guys still work out all the time. You're still very much into health and into optimizing your bodies. And so being that I'm the Good News Doctor and I help people optimize, that's exactly why we invited you here, because of your passion for the sport and for your own health. And knowing that you guys have played football for a lot of years, we know that beats up your bodies, and it definitely takes a toll on you. And now you fast forward 10, 20 years later, and I just want to know what your lives are like, and how that feels. So tell me a little bit about, let's go with you first, Greg. Tell me a little bit about what brought you here.
He said 10 or 20. He forgot the last one, 30.
30 years.
But 30 years. Well, Doc, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Back in 78 was probably the first time I met Jon Autry, and in 79 we got to know each other mainly because we were both All-American track people first. Jon was probably the nation's top shot putter disc, and I was one of the top long jumpers. So we got to the meeting and talking probably as early as our junior year in high school. That's how long this friendship goes back. And the reason I'm sitting right here with you today is because he asked me to come. That's the honest truth. I I didn't know exactly what I was doing when I got on the plane, but if he asked me, I'm going to come. He's my brother, so that's the history. But I was fortunate enough to go to the University of Notre Dame, played there, had a great freshman year as we competed for the national championship and lost that to Georgia. But our next 3 years were kind of hard. We had Jerry Fouts, and all my guys know those were kind of rough years for us. Was able to get drafted in the first round and went to the Buffalo Bills. Rookie of the year that year. Had the chance to go on to the Pro Bowl. Due to some injuries, got traded to the Los Angeles Rams, where I really became, I think, that complete running back with John Robinson, and finished my career with the Los Angeles Raiders. And I had highlights, Pro Bowls, led the league in scoring twice, led the league in rushing. You can kind of go through all the things that you dream about doing. But like I tell most people, they say, well, you make the Hall of Fame. Did you get the Super Bowl? I tell people I was just blessed to have the opportunity to play for 8 years. And that's my highlight from my career, is that I got a chance to live my dream.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it must be so rewarding being able to look back and we look at some of these highlights like we just looked at today, and just to see how much fun that was at that time of your life, and truly living your dream and being the man on purpose and all of that. So how has your life changed? I mean, you had some injuries you mentioned, so tell me a little bit about your
Well, the first injury I had, of course, was in college. I did a 360 and the foot stayed in the ground. So I had to have reconstructive surgery on my ankle, broke the tib and the fib. From there, I had a torn abdomen, which was part of the injury I had in Buffalo that sent me to the Rams. And then when I was with the Rams, I herniated L4 and L5, played with it for 3 years, just pretty much shooting up the pain. And after about a year after that, I had to go in for back surgery and did a discectomy on L4 and L5. And outside of gaining weight and losing weight and trying to keep yourself right, life has continued to go on. Not as competitive as it used to be, but I'm still getting the chance to live the passion and do the things that God wanted me to do.
That's awesome. Do you find that you have any injuries still that you're living with day by day? Well, tell us a little bit about before you came here. What were the things that you're dealing with now?
Well, everything goes with structure, I guess you can say. If you keep yourself aligned, but my lower back has been my number one nemesis. Back a year ago from today, I actually had stem cell injections put into my lower back, which for me has been a blessing. I never had any sciatic problem going down the left side of my body, and I started, and that stopped. Health issues, from your A1C getting a little high to just basically getting that back realigned and back, that's 100% of my ailment. And so that's really the number one reason I was interested. And then when John asked me to come, he didn't really give me the full scope of what we were coming to do.
Yeah.
But he told me I needed to do it. And he knows me probably better than anybody on earth. We spend a lot of time together over these last 30 years. And like I say, he's a brother for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, John, for caring enough about him to get him out here and see what we can do to help,
Absolutely.
turn some of these old injuries around and make you guys stronger. I mean, he's already strong as an ox, man.
Right.
He is so strong. All right. So, John, you played football. Obviously, that was years ago.
Right.
And I know that you're still a major athlete and that you still run every day and you're still very into your metrics. You know how far you go and how you feel through all of that.
Right.
So what brought you here this week?
Yeah, I had ankle injuries and I think I had back injuries, but then you just didn't tell. If you were hurt, sometimes you didn't tell your coach you were hurt. You just kept playing with it, but I had ankle injuries and now I know that I had back injuries too. And I know
you used to have back injuries.
Now
Now we're getting past that.
Now we're getting past it. I'm noticing a big improvement in just the 3 days I've been here.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
A work colleague of mine that I work with daily and weekly gave me a call and said, "Hey, John, you should take a look at this, and look at this Vox." And then so I talked to Dan, who educated me on the Vox.
Yeah.
And I said, "Sure, absolutely, I'll give it a shot." And so I started using it, and I did first time I used it, I did a exhaustion rep of arm curls, and I got at a certain weight. I think it was 40 or 50 pounds, and I got up to like 32, and I could not do one more. Mm-hmm. And I stepped on the insoles that were in front of me, and I was able to do 5 more reps. And working out, coaching, and teaching kids how to work out and all that, I knew all about that. I had muscle failure. Okay. When I stepped on the insoles, I did 5 more reps. And I felt something going through my legs when I stepped on there. And it helped me do 5 more reps. When I found that out, that's why I thought about all my friends, my Greg Bell. He was the first one I called. And I want to tell everybody about it because this is doing something.
Yeah.
And that's all I needed. And I've been using it for about a month and a half, 2 months, and I feel better every day.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It really is awesome. And, I was one of those, when I was first introduced to the Voxxlife product, I was a skeptical too. Mm-hmm. They told me, hey, you need to wear these socks and give them to all your patients. These are brain socks. And I kind of chuckled at that, like brain socks.
Right.
And it wasn't until like 5 months later that I did a map on myself that I was so astonished because I realized, oh my goodness, it really is doing something amazing.
Right.
So let's talk about Vox a little bit. Now, Greg, how long have you been experiencing it?
I've been using Vox for probably about 2 months.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, like you say, you're somewhat skeptical. I'm one of those persons where people tell me a lot, and John will tell me a lot, and I'll say, well, I just want to sleep better. Yeah. So I'll try to see if I'm sleeping better. And if I don't see it instantly, I will tell you this weekend's been enlightening, because data takes away a lot of the skepticism.
Yeah.
When you know your body and you've been trained to identify things and changes in your body, the littlest of results mean a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think probably the biggest thing that I kind of see from it is that definitely you when you step on the Vox insoles, you get a different reaction, a different feel. I think for me, I walk 6 miles every day, and the difference in using an orthotic and just using you feel a little energy in your walk. So I got to the point where I started jogging again. So something's different in the insoles. I'm glad that I can put the data, because that's important for somebody, because I don't feel sometimes the results like a person who has never performed before, and all of a sudden they start performing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to see the difference because I know what my body's capable of doing.
Sure.
So, but when you got the data to go behind it, and you can see the results in others, and I you know, I'm gonna just tell you right now, all I needed to do is see your car accident and to see you physically, whatever you were capable of doing, then I can learn from that because you can't fake that.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things in life you can't fake, and people say a lot of things, but all it takes is a picture and then to see you walking.
Yeah.
That's all it takes for me because John probably doesn't remember, but when I was at Notre Dame, I mentored a paraplegic girl, and her father was my radiologist, and it's just kind of funny. And Lizzie had a tumor on the back of her neck. They tried to remove it and left her blind. They went in to correct the blindness, and they left her a paraplegic. And her father said, never again. Mm. So to see somebody who was like that, as you were,
yeah,
she never walked again. Mm. And she passed away earlier in life. She lived to be 20 years old. I met her when she was 13. That's all it takes for me. I know somebody who lived their life in a chair.
Yeah.
And to see you walking, that was kind of, if you'd have told me that story beforehand, I might have bought every single product the Vox said and got it for everybody I know. But the beauty of it is the fact that, you've got the data to prove it's proof in the pudding.
Right. Yeah.
And that means a lot.
Thank you. I remember when I was in the chair, I had a gentleman from Ireland come and prophesize over me, and he kept speaking all these wonderful things over me, like I'm going to lose this chair. It's just a thing I'm going through, and God's got plans for me. I'm going to be speaking, and I'm going to change people's lives. They're going to hear the vibration of my voice, and they're going to get hope again. And I'm looking at this guy like, do you see me in the chair? Like, who are you talking to, buddy? And I literally thought he was just lost his mind. Right. And I didn't receive or believe any of it because I had been through so much turmoil for so long. Right. And he said, this was November, and he said, by the end of the year, you're going to find it. And sure enough, it was in December that I found the first major thing that got me out of my chair. And I forgot all about that guy until a year later. And then I listened to it. And it's like everything he said came true. Right. And here, when anybody's been through a hard time and a struggle and you find your way out of it, it's just natural that you want to just help other people not have to go through that, right? And so it really is a life of paying it forward. And that's why I love people that are open to receive, like y'all. I mean, you didn't even really know what you were getting into. Then you got here. And my whole goal is to, after you leave, be like, that was way better than I ever fathomed that I was going to experience. Right. I want it to be a total experience where you go deep dive into yourself leaving here. We were going to help you find that pathway to break through all these limitations that you've had. Right. And so that's so exciting to me to one, have people that are open, because again, there's a lot of skepticism out there, but we try to present things in a way that's easy to digest. And then also a little bit astonishing, like when you realize, oh, wow, that's so true. And that's true. And these are all facts and structure, function, and all of that. So you guys all came with an injury. You had some pain somewhere. And when you first got here, we did a full assessment of you guys. We did brain maps, we did body scans, we did chiropractic evaluations, and then we did the ARP evaluation. Right. So I know that was a big thing that obviously the eSmarter and the Vox products, you've experienced them for a couple months. That's so awesome because you've already known, hey, I can run a little bit easier now. That's what you told me. Absolutely. And I can exercise a little bit more and do more and not feel maybe as unstable, or I have a little bit better motion or range of motion in my body. And so then yesterday we showed you the overall presentation on all the Vox products. Right. And I thought that was going to be time well spent because even though you've experienced it and you're using it, until you really understand that this is doing something to the brain. Yeah. Right. And it's just freeing it up to allow you to be a better you. Right. And so that's why we can put the tech on you and you get stronger. And so you haven't seen the final maps today, but today we did a baseline map so we can see from the baseline when we first came in, how much has permanently changed just by us reconnecting things and tuning things back up. Right. And then today we did a map, and then we did another map with the Vox product on, and then we did another map with the eSmarter added to it with the sleeve. Right. And so that's just super exciting because we see changes in everybody that uses this technology. And whether you've seen your own brain maps and had your aha epiphany moment that, why would I ever take this off?
Exactly. And I don't take mine off.
It's like my goal. I mean, you already had that attitude because you feel so different and you can run further and you're not exhausted and you can stretch a little bit easier in the morning and all these things. Right. But now you're going to see what it's actually done to your brain. So it's pretty powerful that we can actually put products on our body that literally do a hack to our brain and allow us to experience more neurology. Right? And that's basically it. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about ARP now. Okay. And so have either of you experienced an ARP treatment before you came?
Never.
Okay. So this was all new to you.
Yes.
So we came in with a certain agenda that we won't be doing a certain body part, but then after we did the evaluations, I think both of you guys were low back.
Right.
Yes.
And so that tends to be a chronic thing for you, Greg, right?
Right. It's always been a chronic thing. When you get flipped in football and don't make it over, and you start injecting it so you can continue to play, it makes it worse. And so it's been a labor of love just to live pain free.
Yeah. Oh, it's so awesome. You know, I used to forget what it felt like to be pain-free when you lived in pain for so long. It's like I wouldn't even recognize it. And now that I've been blessed, going on 7 years pain-free, I don't like pain. It just has to be a little bit like, hey, what's going on down there? It's like, that's not normal. We need to nip that in the bud right now and get past that. So for Greg, with you, initially your upper body, you've just been running forward for so long that your upper body and your lower body had a lot of kind of like a pivot, a tension on that pivot. And so initially the ARP, that's where we kind of dialed in. And we focused, and gosh, it was just the very next morning, I could tell your posture changed.
Right.
Could you sense that?
Yeah, you could sense it. And then, like, probably the easiest thing, I told myself, because, I called friends on the phone. He'll tell you, I could dial up a few friends and said, man, this is something different here. Staying at a hotel, you never get a choice of what kind of bed you're going to sleep on. And so we've got 2 soft beds. I sleep on an extremely hard bed because it makes my back feel better. But I was able to get up the next morning and it didn't feel like it felt like I'd been sleeping on a hard bed. And I know the beds are soft, but because I know my body, I could, right then I knew, this is a little different. When you get off the machine, you know something's a little different because, I have a TENS unit that I have at home and to kind of block some pain now and then. But once you turn the machine off, it's off. It's done.
Immediately,
but when you unplug yourself from the ARP machine, 2 hours later, you still feel your body contracting. Yeah. And so, something's different. And the good thing about it is that, I don't know if you said it when it was here, that sometimes pain is good. Yeah. It can be painful when you're doing it, but, it's no different than the pain from squatting. No. Pain is doing a bench press at 330 and you straining out of your mind. And that's the same kind of workout you're getting when you get that. And like I said, the thing that pretty much amazed me is I woke up the next morning feeling, pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And for me, after the initial treatments, I could tell a difference. And it just made me feel looser, more relaxed. And even when like this morning, I went on my run and I felt a big difference in how the effort that it took. Before, it felt I had to hold myself up, but now I just feel so loose and relaxed, and I felt like I could have run for another 30 or 40 minutes.
Just glided a lot easier.
Easier and everything. So just awesome.
So for the listeners that don't really know what ARP therapy is, it's a direct current that also has a patented wave on top of that direct current that sneaks this direct current into the body to actually engage the muscle and flex the muscles much like you would do, but you don't have to try to do it. And so what we find is when we're searching on the body for the disconnect, and it might not be where you actually have pain, but wherever your nervous system has detached itself from those muscles, from whatever injury or strain that you've done in the past, certain parts of the muscle you have good control over, and then other parts might be a little flaccid or a little bit weaker. And it's not for lack of trying.
Right.
You know, we try, but our injuries and our disconnects from our body have an impact. And you guys don't realize it yet, but it has a huge impact on your brain too. Because we did baseline brain maps before you came, and we did them here at the end, and we've already taken a peek, and there's been some tremendous change in just 3 ARP treatments.
Right.
And so what happens, why we're doing the physical treatment itself, the nervous system is reintegrating back into the muscle, and it's learning how to take over control of that muscle again. That's unlike a TENS unit where you're just trying to fatigue the receptors so I can't lift the muscle and the muscle relaxes. This is actually giving you control of those tissues again. And so you can tell by each treatment we did, the pads change places.
Yes.
Until today, it's most likely your final treatment, and that's going to be where you're going to go home and now you're going to work those areas aggressively, and you're going to find a stability and a strength that you thought wasn't even possible to obtain again, you know, as we continue to age. And so I've seen so many people and have that breakthrough so quickly. And so for both of you, it was interesting. You're a low back initially the first part of the week, and then today it went up into between the shoulders now. So now you're really feeling it. And so what it is we hook these units up to the damaged area of the tissue, and then we crank it up as much as they can tolerate, because you are feeling a tingly and a grab, and then we're going through motions for that area. So if it's a shoulder, we're raising this arm up, and there's going to be certain parts of that motion that, oh, you hit a wall, you couldn't do it. And you're like, I don't think I can do it, doc. And I'll say, oh, there it is, and you get past that. And then by the end of that treatment, you're going right through that zone without a block. And it's like your nervous system learned that fast how to control that. And we've seen people's muscles pop and the strength come back so quickly. So it really is exciting. And so we're not only feeling better and having less back pain and less discomfort, but you're feeling free. Like you got motion again, and you can go do things. And we're not, you know, what was interesting with you, Greg, is your brain map was revealing that a part of your brain that controls the muscles that differentiate the upper and lower torso, that was compromised a little bit. And that was exactly how you presented. And so, and that was gone on today's brain map. So again, as we change the body, the brain changes. So any symptom that we're feeling in the body can be related back to an irregular brainwave pattern, because this is the motherboard. This is the computer that's controlling all that. So I've spent a good part of my career dressing brain, reprogramming brain function, and then waiting for the body to catch up. And now we have this amazing technology that the body's catching up as fast as we're changing the brain. And just to be able to have such an aggressive change in such a short period of time, it's the best secret ever kept. You know, it truly is.
Yeah, it is.
And so another thing that we looked at while we were here was the whole body scans and your biofeedback, and really getting more in tune with the blood flow through our body, all the different tissues in our body, and the ones that maybe have those injuries and how those all related. And so have you ever seen anything like that before? Was that very new and interesting for you?
And I think one of the things that was really interesting when you were doing the whole body chemistry makeup and the fact that, what are those 2 things called that we hold?
Just
in our
probes,
hand? Probes, okay. So I'm holding 2 probes. Now, a month ago, I took a full analysis of my blood. And the fact that it's matching up with the blood analysis that I had a month ago from just holding these 2 probes was pretty fascinating. Because it was showing you all the things. When we talk about inflammation, you talk about the digestive system. Talk, you know, just those kind of things. The things that it showed me that I'm allergic to is the same thing that the blood showed me that I was allergic to. So, you know, like I said, 1 matches 2 equals 3. You know, when you add those together, they, you know, it just adds up. It's all adding up. And like I said, when you put that with the data, it takes the skepticism out of your mind. Now you want to dive in a little further and find out really what more do I have to learn and do and get to correct these issues
and to achieve that better quality of life, you know? And it's like, I think like the world's kind of divided into 2 people, those people that really care and try to do things for their health, and those people that are just walking around blind, you know, and it's like they have no idea how amazing our bodies are and what's actually going inside. And it's not just eating and sleeping. It's eating the right foods, being clean and all of that. And even with your biofeedback, you know, it was saying that your ideal body type was one that should be eating several small meals throughout
Right.
the day. And
Right.
you thrive on that. And I mean, you talked about that.
Yep.
And then I'm looking at your scan, like, that's exactly what he said. And
Yeah.
again, we see so much correlation to the brain scans and the body scans and then
Right.
how I'm physically feeling. And it's just so exciting to be able to find it all in one place and
Right.
be able to, you know, get the answers that I didn't even know I had questions for.
And
Yeah.
the one thing that I've always, my dad kind of showed me this as much as he could. He would always take supplements but he also had medication. And so, but I didn't like the way the medication would affect him, you know, because he felt bad. So I was, you know, from day one, you know, when I started hurting like he was hurting when I was a kid, I didn't want to use medication because it had side effects and had all, but this is all natural. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that your body can heal itself if you treat it properly.
That's right. In fact, diet will heal 95% of all people's problems if they just learned how to honor their body and eat differently, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So that's what's amazing to me.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All natural.
Yeah. And so garbage in, garbage out, right? You put good stuff in, we can expect good results.
That's right.
And so I'm glad that you mentioned the nutrition part because a lot of people think that, oh, vitamins are just a waste of money and it's just expensive urine and so forth. But I've always looked at my handful of vitamins every morning like this is my life insurance.
Absolutely.
You know, this is what my body needs to thrive, to get everything that the cells need for the building blocks to build my next version of the cell.
Right.
Now, I just need calories for energy the rest of the day and eat clean and avoid toxins, but I'm not sitting there trying to understand how much of each color vegetable I need to consume in a day to get what my body needs.
Right.
I take whole food supplements that give me that security.
Right.
Well,
You know,
it's just like the old scenario. You don't drag racers don't run off of unleaded gas.
right.
They run off of
Rocket
ethanol.
fuel.
You know, they're using ethanol.
Ethanol, right.
And so the way I look at my supplements is in that same manner. You know, if I want to be and I don't say this in a negative way, but if I want to be an American-made car, you know, I run off of 89. But if I'm going to be the Ferrari that I want to be, I need 92 plus.
Yeah.
And so it's that's the difference.
I don't know why people put so much weight on what does this cost and what does that cost when it comes to my health.
Yeah.
It's like if you had a F-16 or jet,
Right.
you're not going to put anything but the right fuel in that jet
Yeah.
because it's a high performing thing. If people realize that we're jets inside, we are multi-million-dollar machinery right here. What are you putting kerosene in it for?
Right.
You know, and it's amazing that people can survive on the junk food that the people eat, right?
No,
Well,
no.
and the even bigger thing is, you know, and I don't like using negatives for a positive,
Yeah.
but sometimes I tell people all the time, if you learn what cancer treatment costs,
Right.
you understand why you want to take these first.
Yeah.
You know, they're a lot cheaper. It's
Absolutely.
a lot cheaper.
People spend the first half of their life sacrificing their health to gain wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And they spend the second half of their life spending all their wealth to try to get a little bit of that health back, right?
Yeah.
A few more days back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So leaving after today, what are your thoughts on the whole experience? Like, what are you taking home with you? And how is this going to help?
Just my
Motivate you.
I'm just looking. I say to myself, I want to be 93. What I mean by that, I want to be 90. I want to get to 93 before I go to the promised land.
Right.
And I feel confident that I can get there.
Yeah.
You know, if I take care of my body, and I feel like Vox and ARP treatments is a way to do it, and it's all natural. I'm not sacrificing my health or side effects or anything like that.
Absolutely.
So this gives me great comfort at this age of, you know, latter third of my life, I'm gonna call it.
Right.
And so it just gives me comfort and just makes me want to tell all my friends and family and some of my students, former students and athletes that I coached and taught, you know, I want them to know about this too. And
Yeah.
I just can't wait.
You know, the reason I got out of my chair eventually was because enough people shared things with me that they weren't too shy, weren't too intimidated that, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm not going to tell him about that product or
Right.
that new technology.
Right.
And I encourage people that, you know, if you find something that has worked for you and changed your life, shout it from the rooftops, man.
Absolutely.
We're not hearing
Pass it
anything
forward.
about health and wellness, and we're not hearing enough of the good news about what our body can do and how we can overcome all these things. We're just learning the bad news that, oh, you got this condition. Sorry about your luck. Here's your drug or your medication that we're going to maintain that for the rest of your life. Hey, there's a time and a place for medicine, and I'm not downing that, but the time is a very short window of time till my body can figure out how to do it. You talked about how amazing our bodies are. 65 quadrillion chemical reactions every second. In the dark. I like to throw in the dark in there because I can't make chemical potions in the dark, and yet we're so smart. We're going to give more faith to a pill than to the intelligence that heals our body, that lives within us, that keeps us alive and keeps us thriving. I mean, that's where I put my faith, right? In the power that healed the body, maintains our body, and that little helper inside of us, it knows what to do. It doesn't judge us and not work so hard on one day because what we chose to eat yesterday, it's just not going to have the resources, but it's working just as hard. Right. And so it's constantly trying to keep us at our potential, you know, and we experience life through our nervous system. And now we've just learned ways to dial in that nervous system to help change the chemistry, to change the physiology, and to change our mind and our attitude. Obviously, we don't get to the success that you guys have had in your careers without the right attitude, right? Attitude determines human performance. And so we're all about getting the noise out that's interfering with us having the great attitude. So,
and I think another thing is knowledge. You know, I think if there's one thing I tried to pride myself on from, you know, walking out of the Columbus, Ohio, going to Notre Dame and getting the master's and the whole 9 yards is the more knowledge you have in life, the better you can serve yourself. You know, not worry for somebody else to do things for you. This is an opportunity for you to serve yourself.
absolutely. Very well said.
And the sooner the better.
Yeah. You might not have the time. There's definitely a point of no return where we
Yes.
can't turn certain things back around. So, you know, I encourage you to, obviously the people that you love that are in your life that you want to be better, let them know that there are natural things like our Vox products, like the ARP. You know, there's so many people that are also stuck with not being able to work out because they're injured. I was one of those that I haven't been able to go to the gym in 23 years because I hurt myself every time I work out before my muscles are strong enough. It's like it puts too much strain on my spine. And so now with the ARP, outside of the therapy, we got all the ways to work out with it too. So every day we're putting these pads on our body. Whoop, there's my chest. It's so exciting. And I'm finally feeling strong. My muscles are getting strong again. And I haven't had that in years. And without ARP, it never would have happened. You know, I just accepted my weaknesses and where my limitations are. And I don't push those because I don't want to upset the balance of my nervous system. Now I'm like, bring it. You know, it's like, let's get in there, make this strong. And I'm dirt biking again, and I'm skiing, and I'm doing all these things that I would have bet my life I wouldn't be able to walk 7 years ago, let alone do all these wonderful things again. And so it's definitely time to pay it forward. There's a lot of people out there that are stuck and they don't know there's an answer. And, you know, and that's what the good news is. No matter what's going on with you, there's always something that we can improve.
Well, you should be starting the podcast off every day. Every time you start the podcast, show the car and then show you.
Right?
I'm serious. I mean, I've sent that picture to like 4 people, and I've only been here 2 days, 3 days now. And I just said, if there's pudding in the proof, here it is. You know, or proof in the pudding. Whatever you want to do. I mean, either way you want to look at it, it's there. And I sympathize with you because I can remember the day the doctor walked into my office after I blew my ankle out, and he said I'd never run again. You know, it was in the growth plate, all these things, and you know, for me, it was
advice you listen to.
And for me, it was, you know, God told me differently. You know, and I'm sure the same thing happened for you. There was a voice telling you this isn't true. I can come to I can go back to the way I used to live. And I wanted to go back to the way I ran, and that's what I did.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys so much. It's been so nice getting to know you both, and I look forward to being part of your journey moving forward.
We
and
appreciate your journey and being
helping you be the best you can be, for sure.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for watching today's broadcast, and I look forward to sharing the good news with you again real soon. Have a great day.